The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
That's right, we're not going to take it. Hello, everybody out there listening to ARM Radio tonight. Thanks for listening to my show, All Aboard with Don Whisman. That's me. This show is being broadcast live from Boston, Massachusetts. And I want to introduce my co-host and a man I consider to be my brother. He's like a brother to me. Dave Coots, what's going on tonight, brother?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's up, Don?
I just getting ready to get this show on the road, buddy. We got a lot to talk about tonight, Dave. And as always, though, before we get the show started, I want to send my prayers out to all the men and women serving in our military. And I want to say thank you to all of our country's veterans. If it wasn't for these brave people, Dave, that served in our nation, we wouldn't have the rights we have today. So thank you to all of our veterans and everybody serving in the military. You're doing a great job. We love you, and just want you to know that we're thinking about you here back at home. And I want to let everybody know that we do have a Facebook group. It's called Trump 2020 ! Now, if you like Trump, you support Trump, and you're a patriot, please join our group. That's Trump 2020 ! But don't forget the exclamation point. And tonight we're doing a little bit something different tonight. We created a group just for this radio show. It's called All Aboard in Facebook. It's called All Aboard with Don Whisman. And if anybody don't want to call in tonight and they want to leave a comment, join that group. If you're not already a member, you can leave a comment in that group. Dave will be watching that group tonight as we're talking, and we will talk about your comments. We'll bring them up during the live show here tonight. And we are going to be taking live calls tonight. We'll be taking calls, and I'm going to give you the number, so get your pen ready. The number to call in is 1-800-508-5431. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. Just give us a call and let your voice be heard. And remember, silence is consent. The only thing is, though, give me and Dave about, I don't know, it's 5 after 8 now p.m. Eastern time. So give us to about 8:30. Wait about 20 minutes to call in. Give us time to start the show, and just so everybody can have a chance to call in, just in case there's more than one or two callers, I am going to limit the calls down to about 2 minutes per person. So just keep that in mind. Have your stuff ready and be loud and clear when you call in. I will ask for your name and what state you're from. And guys, I just want everybody out there to know that me and Dave, we do this show every week. We don't do this show for fame or fortune. We do this show because we love our country. We're patriots, and we just want people to open up their eyes. We want people to see what's going on. We want people to hear what's going on. We want people to stand up and let their voice be heard and just know the truth of what's going on in this country. And Dave, we've got a lot of things to talk tonight, brother. From the liberals using our children as political pawns, Dave, and this omnibus spending bill, and what true patriotism is like, Dave. Like our little visit we had to that World War II veteran, that Mr. Lakes, that man that was part of the D-Day invasion in Normandy, France. Remember him, Dave?
Oh, absolutely. I could. That's a moment I'll never forget.
Well, we might as well, Dave, since I brought him up, let's go ahead and tell everybody about Mr. Lakes. He's in his early 90s, you guys. Dave, you want to go ahead and tell everybody what we did here a few weeks ago?
Well, I mean, we paid him a visit. I don't know how many visitors that he gets, but Donald introduced me to him because he knew how much it meant to me, and we got to sit down and spend some time with him. We got to listen to some stories and see some pictures, and it was a really, really touching moment for me. I can't tell you the level of respect that I have for that generation and for those men and women who fought for our country then. I mean, they truly are the greatest generation to ever live.
Well, Dave, he kind of reminded me of you. I know that you was over in Iraq, but the first thing that he told me, I told Mr. Lakes, to me he's a hero. And what did he tell us, Dave? He said the same thing you told me. He said, "I'm not a hero. The heroes are the men and women who never came home from war. That's the true heroes." But to me, just by him saying that, that makes him a hero in my eyes. I mean, he's not out looking for fame or glory or nothing either. He was just he was proud to serve his country. And Dave, didn't he say that if he was 20 years old again, he'd go back and fight again for this country?
Well, not only that, but he said if they needed him today, that he would fight for it. He could still shoot straight. So, I mean, it's that kind of patriotism. It's that kind of love for God, country, and family that make this country the greatest in the world.
And ending the note on Burt Lakes, he said that he was even he was taken prisoner by the Germans. The guy, what did he have, Dave? Two Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star or something like that.
Yeah, it's and we can post that on the All Aboard page, the pictures of his medals. It was astonishing. This man was truly an American hero. I mean, I was in awe in his presence. It's just the stuff that he went through for his country. It's just amazing. They really were the greatest generation to ever live.
You're absolutely right, Dave, and I know that's not current news or anything like that, but it would like you said, Dave. It is an honor to go see people like that. We're losing them, Dave. We're all the men and women who served in World War II. We're losing them every day. Vietnam veterans, we're starting to lose those guys. And like you even said here a while back, a lot of men and women coming back from the war today. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, that's really in bad shape, and I forget how many people you said commit suicide every day that come home.
22 a day, Donald. 22 a day.
That's just terrible. And I know, Dave, this is not breaking news. It was just something I wanted to start out talking about. Is real patriotism, Dave. That's real patriotism. That's not none of these people on Facebook signing flags and stuff. People like Mr. Lakes and Dave. I'm even going to say you. People who serve their country. People who do things that don't want attention or self accolades for themselves. That's what true patriotism is about, Dave. It's not about going out here and filming yourself helping others and signing flags and asking the country for money.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, since we're on that subject, we'll just go ahead and touch base with it a little bit.
Brother.
I mean, it's to me, if you have to sign a flag, or if you're in a militia, a lot of people know, that I have a lot of history with militias. I am the commanding officer of the United Sheepdogs of Ohio. If you have to sell your unit patch, if you sign it like you're a rock star, and you sell it in the name of going around the country, to these rallies and events, guess what, guys? You're going to do more for your country if you keep your butt at home in your own AO and worry about that place first.
So we don't take care of your home first, right, Dave? Take care of your home.
Take care of your own AO first. I don't need you coming into my AO, putting your camera up, saying that you're a patriot. I can take care of my own AO. Worry about your own first. Don't desecrate my flag by signing it. You're not a rock star.
You're exactly right, Dave. And when you say AO, you're talking about what does that mean, Dave?
Area of operations. That's basically where you live.
And Dave, now that you meant area of operations, it's basically let's talk about states. I mean, a lot of people, like all last summer, and they're still doing it today. I think they're removing monuments down from the Civil War. But back in those days, Dave, me and you've been talking about this, that back in the 1800s and before that, people used to put a lot of pride in the state they lived in, not the country. They put more pride in their own state than they did their country, didn't they, Dave?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And what a lot of people don't realize today is, and it's simply for the fact that they don't teach us anymore in school, and that they're growing up with such a large federal government, is back in that day, the federal government played a very, very limited role in a man's life. A man's loyalty lied with his state, because ultimately they believed that the state could control them or affected their life more than the federal government. In those days, it was nowhere near like it is today, where we have states like California and New York that depend on the federal government for all this money that comes out. So I guess that's why when people call someone like Robert E. Lee, oh, he was a traitor to his country. No, he wasn't. He wasn't a traitor to his country. He went to his state, because in those days, men were loyal to their state. He was offered the Northern Command and didn't take it because he chose to fight for Virginia, which was his state. That's where he lived. That's where he was loyal. We have lost that over the years. The federal government has slowly and surely gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and over the years we've lost that. So nowadays these generations of kids don't understand that the federal government was supposed to play a very limited role in our everyday lives.
And Dave, I looked it up like you told me to. You told me to do some more research on General Robert E. Lee. And I do believe that Arlington National Cemetery, that was his land. That belonged to that man at one time. And his wife was she was related to George Washington, our first president, the founder of our country. And it's true, Dave. Robert E. Lee was a great man. I mean, and Dave, I even looked it up like you said. He did free his slaves before that Civil War started. Robert E. Lee did free his slaves.
Yes, he did. Him and his wife, who was George Washington's granddaughter, I believe she was. They actually, close. Yeah, they freed those slaves, and not only that, but they went against the law, and they taught them how to read, they taught them how to write. They were educating the people, and I guess it just kills me when you have people, we dealt with a guy this past summer, Donald, named Corey, who was pretty much a socialist. He was one of the ones that was instrumental in getting our marker removed, and which, by the way, is coming back. We haven't forgot about that. Franklin Township, we will be knocking on your door if our marker's not back.
And that was a Robert E. Lee marker, by the way.
Yes, it was, but a lot of people, they just don't understand that. And not only that, Donald, but he was also instrumental after the Civil War. He was instrumental in getting a lot of the Southern guerrillas to lay down their arms. He was instrumental in the reconciliation of the country. It's just, when people call those guys traitors, they're just speaking because they've not been taught history.
He brought the country back together, Dave. He helped bring this country back together as a nation. Robert E. Lee did.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he played an instrumental role in it. And how was he repaid? They took his land at Arlington. I mean, granted that's a sacred place now, but I mean they took it away from him and pretty much made him look at the dead soldiers and stuff.
Well, Dave, I think that history is very, very important, and people really do. They need to do more research on history, Dave, because a lot of people don't believe it, but history does repeat itself, and I think that's kind of why I started off on this tonight, going back and talking about the older stuff, because, I mean, we may not see it in our lifetime, Dave, but eventually our grandchildren, history will repeat itself. People like Adolf Hitler, there'll be people like him rise again, Dave. I guarantee it one of these days.
Yeah, I mean, there's that old saying, those who forget history are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah, I've heard that one, but I guess we'll move on, Dave. We'll get out of history and we'll talk about what's happened here this last week. Let's talk a little bit, Dave, about this omnibus spending bill that our president signed. I thought he was going to veto it, Dave, and at first I was a little upset with President Trump for signing this omnibus spending bill, but I got to researching this omnibus spending bill. What was it? It was, it was like $1.3 trillion. It was something like that. You remember, Dave?
Yeah, it's like 1.3 trillion. I mean, we were both, we're both kind of upset about it, but I mean, you still have to have faith in the man. And people have to recognize that he's not going to do everything that we agree with, because simply for the fact that, everybody doesn't agree to the same, but we still have to support him. And I think what a lot of people, they really wanted that veto simply for the fact that, it was over 2,300 pages. Nobody got to read it.
That's it. That's the whole thing, Dave. Rand Paul was holding that stack of bills. What all was in that bill? It was like 2,200 and some pages. How can our government, Dave, us having the greatest nation in the country, get to a point where we get to a government shutdown within a matter of days? We've got to sign something that I don't even think they had time to read through, Dave. It'd be like you signing a loan on your car or your house without even knowing what the interest rate is. I just don't understand how our nation can get to that point where they don't have time to read what's in a bill.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, that's the system that we've created now, in today's society, and that's why my hat goes off to Rand Paul. I mean, you know how I feel about Rand Paul. I'm a huge Rand Paul guy. I think he's one of the true constitutionalists left in Washington, and he didn't sign that bill.
No, he didn't. I did look that up. He did not sign that omnibus spending bill. Now, Dave, there was something in that bill I want to talk about a little bit, and it's about the rights of 4.2 million senior citizens being classified as financially incompetent. So what does this mean, Dave? Them not being able to buy guns because they're financially incompetent?
Well, basically what it is, I mean, they were saying that, if they could declare a senior citizen indigent, if someone was taking care of their finances, and once they declared them indigent, then they would not have access to firearms because they would automatically become NICS disqualified once you become indigent.
That's a shame, Dave. I mean, I hope that doesn't happen because, I mean, a lot of people are telling me, Dave, that in that spending bill, that Trump can actually, before I really researched it, I've been finding out that he can take that money and move it to different areas. And somebody just tried to call in. Dave, you want me to go ahead and tell people to start calling? It's up to you. I don't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whoever just called, go ahead and call back. I didn't take the call because Dave was talking about this. These elderly citizens that's going to be affected by this bill if Trump lets it go through, and that's why I didn't take the call. But if anybody wants to call back, the number is 1-800-508-5431. Go ahead and call back. I just didn't take it because my friend, my brother here, Dave, was talking about something very important, Dave, and I guess we could go on too, Dave, until we get the next caller, if the guy wants to call back or whoever it was. Let's talk about Trump's comments he said on banning bump stocks and raising the age limits on buying guns. I know we talked about the age limit, but he did mention that again about banning bump stocks again.
Yeah, and honestly, I really think that he misspoke on that. I think that kind of made him look a little.
We got a call, Dave. I'm sorry. We'll take it. Hello. Thanks for calling All Aboard. We're live. Could I get your first name and what state you're calling from, please?
This is Randy. I'm from the state of Ohio.
What's your first name, sir?
Randy.
Hey, Randy. What would you like to talk about tonight, brother?
I just calling in. I don't have a good enough signal to pick up the other channel, so I'm going to call in.
Is there anything you want to say about the country? I'm sorry, Randy. Somebody else is trying to call in, buddy. I'm sorry.
Hey.
Hang on a second, Randy. Go ahead, Randy. Tell us what you want to say. Whoever called, you can call back in just a second. Go ahead, Randy, and tell everybody what you want to say out there to everybody tonight.
Americans ought to pray for our country daily.
Yes, we do have to pray for our country daily, Randy. And I'll tell you what, Randy, I'm glad you called. We're working on a way right now to where my co-host can talk back to you. But until then, it's just going to be you and me when you call back, brother. And I want to thank you for listening to our show, Randy.
No problem. I've been a pretty bad service. I usually get good cell service, but I don't get very good data service. So,
alrighty. Sounds good, brother. You have a good one, Randy, and thanks for calling in our show tonight, brother. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. We'll see you later, brother.
All right, I'll tell Mr. Coots. Well, Mr. Coots can hear you on here. He can hear you, but you just can't hear him.
Roger that.
Hey, we got all right. Randy, have a good one, brother. I'll talk. Call us back next week, man. See you, buddy. All right. Anybody out there? Well, whoever was calling while Randy was calling, call back. Give us a call. But Dave, I forget what we was even talking about. I guess we was talking about the bump stocks, and I think you pretty much answered my question on the bump stocks, right, Dave?
Yeah, I think that he misspoke on that. I don't agree with that, simply for the fact that, I think he should have got his facts straight before he opened his mouth and said it turned them into machine guns, because it doesn't turn them into machine guns. It does increase the rate of fire, but it does not turn an AR-15 into a machine gun. I'm sorry, Mr. Trump, Mr. President, but you definitely misspoke on that. I do not agree with that. Please, 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 verify your facts, especially if it's something that you don't know that much about, before you talk about it like that, because it does not turn it into a machine gun. It just simply increases the rate of fire.
Thank you for saying, Dave, I was going to say the same thing. Please, Mr. President, just leave our Second Amendment alone, buddy. And Trump, you're doing a good job out there if you're hearing this. But I don't think he's listening to us. It'd be nice if he was. Dave, let's talk a little bit about, now this is a big one this week. This is a real big one. And like I said, if anybody wants to call back, now's the time to call in. But Dave, this big march we had this past week, this March for Our Lives, this protest they had in D.C. this Saturday. Do you know that they estimated that 800,000 people showed up to that March for Our Lives protest? 800,000 people, Dave.
Well, I think they might have inflated their numbers a little bit, Don.
You think they did? Well, that's what I was reading. And anyway, shoot, somebody's calling back, Dave. We're getting another call, so let's go ahead and take it. I guess that's what it's for. Hello, thank you for calling All Aboard. Could I get your first name and the name of your state you're calling from, please?
Yes, my name is Bruce, and I'm calling from the great state of California.
California. What's on your mind tonight, Bruce?
Well, lots of stuff. I'm going to try to simplify what I have to say here, but I never thought I'd be involved with stuff like this right now, as far as, the Constitution, the United States and the Bill of Rights were already put in place. I didn't think there would be such a problem, but apparently there's a really big problem. So, it's huge. I'm an electrical engineer by trade. I'm also a drummer. I'm 52 years old. I'm a veteran from the Marine Corps. This is coming from my heart.
Thank you for your service, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Donald. This is from the heart. Certain things led me down this way. I have to back this country. We got to make it strong and keep it strong. My family's very divided for no reason. News agencies like the CNN, MSNBC, etc., they know who they are. They are not patriots. They have a socialist agenda. History is definitely repeating itself. We need to wake up people to what happened in history so we can keep America strong and free. We will not give up our rights to protect ourselves. Well, for instance, Hitler took the citizens' guns. Stalin took the citizens' guns. Mass extermination of law-abiding citizens. They also killed the preachers during the Bolshevik Revolution. It was horrible. They rounded them up and killed the preachers. Yeah, it was pretty bad there in Russia as well. I never thought America was going the wrong direction until 9/11. And I'm like, what? What is this? What could stir such hatred towards our way of life and our freedom? What could possibly do this? Well, we're out there stirring the bee's nest, getting involved in places that we don't need to be involved. People need to pull themselves up like we pulled ourselves up. I have a long list of patriots in my family. My mother is a DAR member. That's the Daughters of the American Revolution. My father has passed away, but he was a full-bird colonel in the Army. My grandfather fought in World War II. He actually freed the Jewish prisoners. Guess what was outside of the prison camps?
What was that?
That's a fluoride. the Germans were feeding the Nazis were feeding the Jewish prisoners fluoride so they could easily be killed. But yet it's in our water, and it's
terrible.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about history. We were just talking about history before you called, Bruce, and we feel the same way you do. And it's a shame right now we don't have our system hooked up, because I would love for my co-host to be talking to you right now, but he can hear you, but you just can't hear him. And Bruce, I said on the show that I was going to give everybody like 2 minutes. Is there anything else you'd like to say really quick, buddy?
Yeah, real quick here. I had come across a video that hit me to the core. It is a woman named Kitty Weatherman, spelled Werthmann. Kitty Weatherman.
Okay.
She's, I believe, an 87-year-old woman, lived 7 years under Hitler's rule, and she has a story to tell, and you will be shaking in your boots when you hear this, because, the video I watched is, she says Obama is the closest to Hitler I've ever seen.
I believe it.
So
I believe it, Bruce. And yes. Thank you so much, Bruce. And call us back next Tuesday, will you, bud? And listen to our show, because we got a lot of things to talk about. And thank you, Bruce, for calling in and telling us the story. Yes, history does repeat itself, brother. Thank you, Bruce.
Yeah. Well, it's not gonna happen this time. God bless.
God bless you too, buddy. Thank you, Bruce.
Absolutely not. Bruce is right, Donald. You know, there's too many patriots that'll stand up and not let that happen again.
Oh gosh, I mean, he is right, Dave. I mean, that's just what we were talking about, you know. Stalin did horrible things, Dave, and you know, I think we was talking about the March for Our Lives protest, Dave. It was like these liberals, they were using these children, Dave. I seen 6-year-olds get up here speaking against guns. Now, Dave, I don't think that's right. They should not be using little kids for their political agenda. Them little kids don't know about guns. Let them kids grow up and be kids, and let them form their own political opinions, Dave.
Well, they're only echoing what they're told, you know, plain and simple. They're just echoing what the people are telling their parents are telling them to say. A 6-year-old doesn't know anything about a firearm, period. You know, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. You know, when that generation stops eating Tide Pods, come talk to me about gun control.
But I was going to tell you something here. These kids, though, Dave, they were protesting, and they really didn't even know what they were protesting against. I mean, it's like they're up here saying they want their Second Amendment right to be gone, but they don't understand that so many men and women died, and they fought against communism to stop the spread of communism. But we fought also, Dave, to keep our rights, our liberties, and these kids just don't understand that nowadays, Dave.
Well, no, they don't. And I mean, here's the thing: you've got people like that David Hogg. You know, he was on record as saying, you know, Parkland has implemented some new security protocol for those guys. You know, name badges and clear backpacks. And he went on record as saying that the clear backpack violates his First Amendment rights. Well, number one, young man, it's not your First Amendment rights that got violated by a clear backpack. That would probably be your fourth, illegal search and seizure. So, you know, you need to get that straight. It just amazes me that, you know, how they are brainwashing our youth, and it goes back to them being indoctrinated,
yes,
you know, through our school systems. You know, it's always been said, you know, that the victor writes the history, but I think, you know, they're slowly and surely indoctrinating our kids, and they're not teaching them, you know, the Constitution. They're not teaching them stuff that they need to know about our history. You know, they're just completely warping their heads.
Well, Dave, I asked you earlier, like if you still had little kids that were in school, and they let your say 6th grade kid out of school to go march against guns without letting you know as a parent, Dave, wouldn't that really upset you?
Oh, I'd pull them out. I'd pull them out and homeschool them. I mean, that's the thing. I have 2 daughters at home now. One's in high school, and you know, one's in elementary, getting ready to go into junior high school. And I can tell you this, you know, both of those girls have been taught firearm safety since the time that they could walk. They both shoot ARs, pistols. You know, they both take hand-to-hand classes. You know, I teach them both hand-to-hand. They're not two girls. They're your normal girls. They're not some, you know, but here's the thing. They've also been taught the Constitution. They've also been taught history. I've not tried to influence my children, but rather teach them and let them make their own opinions.
Form their own opinions. You know, Dave, it's something similar to what you said about, because you're a CCW instructor, right? And you said one time that you would rather teach somebody that's never shot a gun, because if they've shot them before, they probably picked up bad habits, and you would rather get a hold of them before they picked up bad habits. So that kind of goes into hand-to-hand with what you were talking about once.
It does, because, you know, once they hit that public school system, then they start becoming indoctrinated. You know, then by the time they get to college, everybody knows that, you know, those nutty college professors. I mean, I'm sure there's some good ones out there, don't get me wrong. You know, they're not all left-wing socialists, you know, communists who want to destroy our country. There's some good ones, but they're few and far between. But, you know, by that time, it's almost too late.
Oh, we got another call coming in, Dave. You want to take it?
Take it.
All righty, buddy. Thanks for calling all aboard. Could I get your first name and what state you're calling from, please?
Sure. Chris out of Louisiana.
Chris from Louisiana. We always get our call from Chris. How's it going, Chris?
Tell Chris hi.
It's going all right, man.
Dave,
I got something.
You can't hear him, but Dave Coots said to tell you hello.
Hello, Dave. No, I got something kind of special I want to say tonight. Today I was going down the road and I saw a convoy behind me. So I pulled over to the side of the road, I got out my van, and I stood out there till every one of them passed me. And while they was going by me, I thought about Dave.
You thought about Dave Coots?
Yeah, I thought about him, you know, while they was passing me. It was a military convoy.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, Dave's a good. Dave is a guy to look up to. I look up to Dave, Chris. I really do.
Oh yeah, it made me feel proud that we do have a military base down here in Louisiana, and down my way anyway. It really made me feel proud that we have that down here, and that's
Well, that's good. I'm glad you got a military base close to you. I mean, do they get out? Are they active much, Chris, or is that the first time you've seen them in a while?
Well,
they're active.
Well, they're really active right now anyway, because they're active right now. I don't know where they was going, but there was a bunch of them behind me. So, out of respect, I pulled over to the side of the road, man.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you did. I don't know what happened to Dave. I think he got booted off the room. He'll be back in. But, Chris, as always, I want to thank you for calling in. I'm glad you listened to our show. I know you got your mom listening to our show and probably some of your friends. And I just want to say God bless you, Chris, and thank you for all you've done for our show, buddy.
Not a problem, man. Anytime.
All right, thanks, Chris. Go back to listen to our show. If Dave comes back on here, we got a lot we need to talk about. We've got a lot going. I don't know, less than a half hour, but we're going to make it through, brother.
All right, brother.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah,
Tell everybody I said hello.
All right, man.
All right, bye.
I will. Later.
Bye. All righty. I don't know what. There's my co-host, Dave. Did you
I'm
get
back,
booted
Don.
out? Oh, you scared me there for a minute, man. I thought I was going to have to do it without you.
Yeah, booted me out.
Well, anyway, before Chris called, Dave, Chris really respects you, man, because of your service and everything, and I do too. I have a lot of respect for any veteran, like I said at the beginning of the show. But Dave, you were talking about schools before you got booted out, and I want to tell you, you reminded me of something. This guy named David Hessel, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He's a superintendent of a school district in Pennsylvania. And listen to this, Dave. He armed all the classrooms in his school district with buckets of river stones. He wants his children to throw rocks at a would-be shooter that comes in their schools. Now, Dave, I totally disagree with this man, what he's doing.
Yeah, and you remember what I told you. If my kid went to that school jurisdiction, and something bad like that happened, and my kid threw a rock at him, and that shooter ended up hurting my kid, me and that superintendent would have some very, very bad issues.
Well, Dave, I mean, what is the purpose of these rocks? Don't they understand that a little kid will? I mean, if he sees a guy with a gun come in, that kid is going to take one of those rocks. He's going to hit the shooter, and what's going to happen to the shooter, Dave, if he gets hit with some rock? It's going to make him mad.
It's going to make him mad. And he's going to hurt more people. It's ridiculous, and that, unfortunately, that's the whole. I want to say that is the whole mentality of the left-wing socialist agenda. You're bringing a rock to a gunfight, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, it's bad enough when they say bringing a knife to a gunfight, let alone a river stone. And I guess he's got a 5-gallon bucket in each classroom. And I wouldn't want to provoke some. If a guy's crazy enough to come into school with a gun anyway, you daggone sure don't want to hit him with a rock. You know what I'm saying? You want to try to hide and be less. You don't want to be seen. They're actually getting these kids hurt by throwing rocks at this crazy nut, whoever it might be in the future.
It's just ridiculous. It almost goes back to as stupid as Pocahontas is when she made the comment of, once a bad guy with a gun realized that he was in a gun-free zone and nobody else was armed, that it would be human nature for him to lay down his weapon.
Oh.
What I don't understand what planet these people are from to even think such things. It's ridiculous.
Well, it seems like that's where most of your trouble is, Dave, in these gun-free zones. It seems like that's where most of it is.
Well, and if you want to think about this, Donald, all these people that are making this noise, even these kids that were at this march, even all these liberals that are yelling for gun control, the kids at the march were protected by police officers with guns. They were protected by men with guns. Pocahontas has got a security detail. I mean, Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer talks about gun control, and he has a New York City carry permit, one of the hardest in the world to get.
But they don't want to tell you about that, though, do they, Dave? They don't want you to know that they're protected by men with guns. But it's okay for us to get our rights taken away. But they still want their protection and everything. They want us to lose our protection, but they still got it. You know what I mean? That burns me up, Dave. It really does.
It does me too, and that's the thing, is look at look at California. The California legislatures pass laws, some of the toughest gun restrictions in the world, in the country. And then what do they do right after that? They pass another one to exclude themselves from that legislation. They should, if they pass that law, they should have to live by it. There is no way they should ever be above the laws that they create.
Dave, I feel the same way about our senators and our representatives. I mean, they created this Obamacare, but none of them had to use this Obamacare. They tried to shove this down the throat of the American people, and I'm glad Donald Trump removed that mandate from that Obamacare. I think he removed it, didn't he, Dave?
Yes, he did, and I'm glad too, because my premiums would have went up over 300%. 300% increase in my premiums. You call an insurance agent and ask them why, and their response is, well, somebody's got to pay for Obamacare. Not me.
Yeah, not me. But, Dave, did you hear about the Trump administration? They announced last night that the 2020 census will be asking people if they are citizens of the United States. Now, do you really believe that people are going to sign that, Dave, or they're going to fill it out anyway and turn themselves in that they're not citizens? Now the Democrats, they're all fearful that these non-citizens will now refuse to complete these census forms. You know why, Dave? Because the Democrats want them to fill out these census forms because it gives them more funding for their states. It gives them more representatives. The higher the population for the state, the more representatives you get. I mean, it kills me that, I don't know. I'm for it, asking people if they're citizens or not. But are they really going to fill the forms out? I doubt it, Dave. Are they going to tell the truth? I doubt it. And the census are done every 10 years, Dave. That these census, the count for the country.
No, they're not going to.
No. Do you if you was an illegal, would you fill out a census form? Dave, can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Coots, are you out there? Well, anyway, until you come back, Dave, Late Friday night, the president issued an order banning most transgenders from
No,
serving.
they're not.
User in your channel timed out.
Shoot, I don't know. I keep losing Dave. He's having trouble. You guys,
He left.
yeah, Jimmy, he's off, and I think he's in Houston, Texas tonight. But he was getting good signal there. But I'll go ahead and read what I was going to read. He'll be back in. Friday night, President Trump issued an order banning most transgenders from serving in the military. Now, Nancy Pelosi, she is having one of those temper tantrums. Jimmy, you out there? Are you listening to me?
Yes, I am.
What do you think about Trump banning transgender people from serving in the military?
I think it's good because it makes other people uncomfortable, and you know what I mean.
Well, I guess it would make a straight
and what
person
are they gonna do?
uncomfortable.
Run around in a skirt with a gun?
that's
You
a
know what I
good.
mean? In high heels, it makes no sense.
And plus, I guess the government would have to pay for all their little bills and stuff they have too. You know what I mean? If they get surgeries and stuff like that.
But that's what it is. They're all going to join just to get the surgery.
Hey, there's my co-host back. Hello, Dave. Can you hear us, Dave? Yeah, I know Dave's having trouble. He's in Houston, Texas, but
Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties. It's saying something about. Yeah, I can hear you. It's
okay. You got me back? Are you back, Dave? Hello. Well, we'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and tell you something else, Dave. You can hear me. If not, Jimmy, you chime in. And
it's saying some kind of login error.
I can hear you though. Can you hear me now, Dave? Folks, this is live radio. Things like this happen on live radio. I apologize, but it's okay. It's live. I mean, anything can happen. It's digital, you know. Like I said, I'm in Ohio and Dave's way out in Texas right now. So, are you back with me now, Dave?
Timed out.
He just timed out again. But anyway, I'll go ahead and tell you this, Jimmy, if you're listening, that President Trump's going to order 60 Russian diplomats out of the United States in retaliation of the poisoning of a former Russian spy. And his daughter she's living in England right now. Did you know that, Jimmy?
Yep.
Did you hear about this poisoning?
Yeah. The guy and his daughter, they're both in critical condition.
I didn't even hear about it. I just was reading this story that Trump was kicking these Russian diplomats out of our country, and there's all kinds of other countries right now. I think even the Prime Minister of England, they're going to be kicking people out of their country, these Russian diplomats.
Yeah, I think France is going to follow suit.
I mean, what exactly happened with that, Jimmy, that poisoning? I didn't really read the full story.
He was a Russian spy, and then he became a double agent, and he retired in England.
So they killed their own guy.
Well, he's not dead yet.
Right, he ain't dead yet. They were in, I don't know, critical condition. The only thing that they were on life support. That's the only thing keeping them alive.
Oh, I didn't get that story. I just seen where Trump was and a lot of other leaders and countries were kicking Russian diplomats out of their country. I mean, I don't know. There's just so much going on right now. We can't talk about it all in one show because 60 minutes just isn't long enough to even scrape the tip of the iceberg, Dave and Jimmy.
No, it's not. There's just so much going on now. You can't.
And Dave, I'm sorry you're having technical difficulties, but has anybody commented on All Aboard yet in the group yet, Dave?
No, not that I've seen so far.
Just to repeat myself again, we do have another group. It's called All Aboard with Don Whisman. I'm going to add Dave's name to it tomorrow. But you can join that group, and if you don't want to call in, you can leave messages there, and Dave will be reading those messages. He'll be monitoring that group. If anybody wants to leave a comment there, we'll read it while we're live here. And Dave, I just want to let everybody know, Dave, that we're going live around the world right now, and I think 66 different countries. So right now is a good time to call in, Dave, and let people's voice be heard. Let's change this country one show at a time, Dave.
That's what we've always said. You know, we're trying to make a difference one show at a time.
I'll tell you, Dave, Chris Fitzwater, he calls in. He's from Louisiana down there. That guy has mass respect for you, Dave, because you're a veteran. And, I like people like Chris, that respects veterans. Everybody needs to respect our country's veterans like he does, man.
Absolutely. And I was having technical difficulty when Chris was talking.
Yeah.
So, Chris, I'd like to I'd like to say thank you, and that means a lot to people. When they come home to hear that, and I would encourage everybody to do that. It holds a special place in people's hearts. When just by telling them thank you, it goes a long way. It really does.
Right, and Dave, he said he pulled over and that he thought about you today when he was driving by that convoy of them military vehicles, and that would be an honor, man. I wished I would have served in the country, served in the military, Dave, but things happen. But yes, just go up and say thank you. I think that's good enough, Dave. Thank you for your service.
Absolutely. There's a lot of people. There's a guy that I consider a brother. I call him Shaky. His real name's Florin. That man, I've seen him buy veterans meals time and time and time again. And it makes you proud to know people like that. Because they make a difference. They show respect, and it goes a long way. 22 veterans a day commit suicide, and that's that number is just staggering to me. You want to talk about gun control and all that, and yet it's important. Well, let's talk about the veterans though. 22 a day are taking their lives because they don't feel that they can go on, that they have anything left to fight for. That number to me it just makes me want to cry. It's sad. Everybody needs to try to do something. If you know one and they're hurting, if they're homeless, if they're hungry, reach out, guys. Help them. Give them a helping hand up.
Yeah, but don't, you can help them, Dave, but don't go film yourself while you're helping them and say, hey, look, I'm a patriot, I'm going to help a veteran. Now, that's not the way to help a veteran, Dave, get self-recognition, No,
if you're going to do that, keep your tail at home. Because, just tell somebody, send me a message, I'll help them.
That's right. We can't repay this debt to these men, Dave. We do. I know a lot of people feel different, Dave, but I feel like we owe these men a big debt for their service, Dave, because they go through a lot. You went through it, and a lot of them's even been through a lot worse probably than you have, Dave, and we really got to start thinking about these guys, and we do have a president, Dave, that does care about them. I do believe he does.
I believe that the man in office now cares more about them than definitely more than the last one, maybe even more than the last two or three. I believe that with all my heart. If you look at some of the programs that he's implemented, and some of the ways that he's trying to change to help these guys, and these gals, he's doing a lot for our veterans. He's trying to help them. More so than any other administration that I can remember in the past. And you're right, Donald, we owe these men and women everything. They shouldn't have to come home to a country where they don't feel appreciated, to where they don't know if they have a place to stay or if they have a hot meal, that we owe them everything. Before we give an illegal anything, we owe them everything.
You're right, Dave, and I want to know your opinion, Dave. I don't think I've ever asked you this on this show, but I do believe that God is using President Trump. I do believe in God, Dave, and I know you believe in God, too. Do you believe God is using this president, Mr. Trump, to save this nation?
I believe that with all my heart, and we've talked about this. I think that the good Lord puts people in place, and he uses them, when he thinks that they needed them. And he come at the perfect time. If it wasn't for him, then we would have Hillary. And I believe with all my heart that our country would be in chaos right now if she was the commander in chief.
Oh, we got another phone call, Dave. I hope you don't butt out this time. I hope we don't kick you out. You ready? Thanks for calling all aboard. Could you give me your first name and what state you're calling from, please?
Sheila.
Hello, Sheila. How you doing? I was just getting ready to give you a big shout out, but remember, Sheila, about 2 minutes because the show's getting ready to end.
Yes, I just want to say that gun control, I get two meanings out of it. Gun control, people control. And the rocks that they put in the school, to me, I see that as they're getting them ready for the Sharia law. The way the kids are acting now, I just wish they'd pick them up and throw them at the people that put them in there. The kids are so out of control, they'll get mad at their teacher and they'll be going to that bucket and whacking their kids with the rock.
Yeah, the teachers.
And people, this is serious and this is real. And people need to pay attention and start working on your voting early for 2018 and for 2020 trial.
You're absolutely
And y'all
right, Sheila.
finish up. All right, see y'all.
All right, thank
Bye,
you.
Sheila.
Dave said bye, Sheila. I know you can't hear him, but he said bye.
I know.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Sheila.
bye-bye.
Thanks for listening.
Uh-huh.
Dave, she seems like a really good woman. She's really fighting for patriots in this country right now. Her and Melissa Helton. We need people like that in this country, Dave.
Absolutely. You know, that's the main thing, guys. And you know, the people can make a difference, guys. You know, and on that note, Don, I want to just kind of shift it a little bit.
Ahead, brother, go ahead.
Let's talk about these midterm elections coming up, guys. We can't tell you enough how important these upcoming midterm elections are for this country. You know, now is not the time for us to sit on our laurel, sit on our duff. Let's get out there. Let's vote. Let's make a difference. We cannot let these Democrats take power. You know, we have right now in the Republican primary for Ohio, we have a lady by the name of, I think it's Mary Taylor, and right now she's going up against Mike DeWine. And I mean, quite frankly, in my opinion, Mike DeWine, we've had enough of him. He does not need to be the governor of Ohio. He's another John Kasich, maybe even worse. You know, Mary Taylor, when the United Sheepdogs of Ohio went to that rally, the pro-Second Amendment rally, Mary Taylor was up on the stage with a shotgun in her hand saying, "Come and take it." You know, that's the kind of leadership that we need.
Oh, Dave, the primaries for the state of Ohio, they're coming up in May, so we've just got a little over a month now. And Dave, I want to tell you really quick, because I think we got like 6 minutes left. What's up with these midterm elections, Dave? And remember, in the state of Ohio, the primaries are a little over a month away. They're in May. I think it's May. I don't know.
8th. May 8th.
Is it May 8th? Well, anyway, Dave, in the midterm elections, and we'll talk about it more in another show, we've got 36 states that are going to be voting for a new governor and a couple of other territories. We've got 33 Senate seats coming up. This is federal now. And we've got 435 representatives we've got to elect, Dave. This is a big election. And this doesn't even count all the local elections, man. I mean, this is big, Dave. It's huge. We got to start thinking about who we're going to vote for in the primaries. Because that's who we're going to be voting for in the election.
Absolutely. And what I encourage people to do is just don't go vote down the party line.
No. Make sure they vote by the Constitution. We're getting another call, Dave. I'm going to go ahead and take it, Dave.
Take it.
They done hung up now. Sorry about that, you guys. I didn't answer, but the show's getting ready to end here. Here they call back, Dave. I'll go ahead and take it. Why not? Thanks for calling on board. Could you give us your first name and what state you're calling from, please?
My name is Joe, and I'm calling from Massachusetts. I'd like to order a large pepperoni pizza.
You want to order a large pepperoni pizza, Joe?
What's that?
Well,
do you want anchovies with that?
Do you want anchovies with that, Joe?
No. Just pepperoni. That's it. Hey, good show. I just wanted to tell you guys great show tonight.
Well, thank you, Joe. That means a lot coming from you, and I know you can't hear Dave, and Dave said hello, Joe.
Yep. Maybe you guys could stop by on Thursday night.
Well, I might do that if you don't mind. I might come in if you don't mind.
Yeah, whatever. It's open to everybody. Doesn't matter. Come on in. I don't care.
Well, can I tell the world who you are right now? Everybody out there listening to Armed Radio, this is Joe. I'll just call him Joe Rocks. He is the owner of Armed Radio, and this is the guy who gives us an opportunity to come on here every week and tell you guys about the country. So, Joe, a big thank you from me, buddy. A big thank you.
Oh, thank you, brother. You two guys are doing a great job. So is everybody else. Appreciate it.
Well, God bless you, Joe. God bless you, sir.
Same, Don. I'll talk to you again. Take care.
All right, see you, Joe.
Thanks, said bye, Joe.
Bye,
All right, everybody. That was Joe. That's the guy who owns Armed Radio. I'm glad he called. He usually don't call our show. I guess he's listening tonight. And Dave, there's so much. We got off. I mean, this midterm election it's so important, Dave. I mean, in the primaries, Dave. We got to vote for people who go by the Constitution, brother.
Absolutely, and I mean, like I said, if you're in Ohio, I really encourage you guys to check out, Mary Taylor, the lieutenant governor right now. She's called John Kasich out on so many issues. She is not a yes man. She is her own person. And I think she will be a great governor of Ohio.
So I guess that's it right there. We've just endorsed Mary Taylor for the governor of Ohio. We've just endorsed her, and that's who I'm voting for in the primaries as well, Dave. And we'll try our best to get Mary Taylor as the nominee, as the candidate for governor of Ohio in in November.
Well, to me, DeWine is just a Kasich clone, if not worse.
Oh, Dave, we've got a senator in Ohio too. We've got Sherrod Brown. We've got to get rid of him. He is a Democrat. His election is this year. We have to put Sherrod Brown down. We have to get in somebody who upholds and is going to back our president and oppose that Constitution, brother.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the main important thing. That document is living, breathing, and it's what's helped make us the greatest country in the world today. And we have to put people in there that's going to support that document and just not be a yes man. They're going to go by the Constitution.
Well, Dave, it says we got we're 8:59. We're down to a minute, but I just want to tell you that Joe Biden, I guess he recanted his statement about wanting to beat up Donald Trump. I guess he got scared because Trump tweeted him back, and Trump said that he would knock the crap out of Trump. But we got to go, Dave. We got our 20-second warning. I want to let everybody know God bless you, and think about those midterm elections, and say goodbye, Dave.
Hey, thank everybody for listening. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I'd like to send a prayer and a shout out to all the troops out there serving. God bless. We love you. We miss you. Come home safe.
And we're not going to take it.